You are listening to Rouge Radio, a proud member of the Canadian Football Podcast Network.
It's time to get the point as Rouge Radio is ready to kick off.
Ready!
The best football talk with the best in the business.
So what is the cost? You have 2 first-round picks this year because the Argos were dumb enough to trade for Drew Willie.
A few rookies.
We go directly to the on-field product. We welcome to the show the 20th overall pick in this past Sunday's CFL draft, DeAndre Wright of the Alouettes. DeAndre, welcome to the show.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for having me.
And the occasional Hall of Famer.
Please welcome Doug Brown, who is one of the members of the current class of 2016 in the CFL Hall of Fame. Doug, thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thank you, guys, for the kind words and for having me on the program.
Rouge Radio is on the air. Here's your hosts, Robert Dalton and Tony Allen.
Rouge Radio is sponsored by the good people over at Manscaped. Go to manscaped.com, enter the promo code Rouge, and you'll get 20% off your order. Also at Manscaped, you'll also get free worldwide shipping. Go to Manscaped. Your balls, oh, they will thank you. This podcast is powered by the Canadian Football Podcast Network. This is episode 542, live from Winnipeg, Manitoba, and Medicine Hat, Alberta, the 2 losers of last week's semifinal week. Gentlemen?
Well, that was kind of uncalled for. Yes.
We fired that guy.
Yeah. Well, he came back. He comes cheap. He comes cheap. Yes. This is episode 542. This is the Rouge Radio podcast. My name is Robert Dalton. Joining me, as always, Mr. Tony Allen. Tony, I love the get up this week.
Yeah.
That's all.
Got to back the BC Lions. Got to unite against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, right?
And what's funny is that where you said that's your Nathan Rourke magnificent bastard.
Yeah, this was the jersey formerly known as the Nathan Rourke Magnificent Bastard jersey, the one that one of our most loyal fans made for me when he took me to a Riders game the summer I worked in Regina, but unfortunately some shoddy ironing job, or they just don't make iron-on letters the way they used to. Most of it has just fallen off while it hung in my closet, so unfortunately, it is just a remnants of what used to be, memories of what used to be on the Magnificent Bastard, because it had Rourke, you Magnificent Bastard, on the back and his numbers. And unfortunately, they've been systematically falling off over the years. They didn't quite survive. Was that 2 years ago?
That would have been.
I think it was 3 years ago.
Well, that would have been 3 years ago because that was when Nathan Rourke was in the CFL.
Yeah.
That
was his.
Yeah.
That's when they hosted the Grey Cup that year. So.
Yeah.
Ooh, time flies.
True. Obviously, we want to talk about somewhat of the semifinals. Obviously, preview the divisional finals, but the Ottawa Red Blacks dropped a huge news bomb earlier today by hiring former head coach, call him head coach. He still had another year, Ryan Dinwiddie, away from the Toronto Argonauts. And not only that, they extended Sean Burke to be I guess they call him the VP of player operations, I guess. As essentially is hey, if you want to stay with us, this is what you're going to have to do. This is the role you're going to have to take. Essentially, I guess the assistant GM. First off, big news, because we talked about this on previous shows where we're talking about, I even made TikTok videos about this, that this was a move that they had to make, because had they just left Sean Burke with 1 year left on their contract, that doesn't exactly give you the greatest options as head coach. Your thoughts on this hire?
I'm okay with it, and I think it's actually a good. There's going to be a lot of debate over Ryan Dinwiddie as a head coach, and I get it. I don't think, unless you're talking about Wally Buono or someone like that, there's not going to be a lot of debate on whether or not he was a caliber head coach. But it's a move I like for the Ottawa Red Blacks. I think Dinwiddie is still has somewhat of some solid credentials coming in, and I think he's, he was a fair head coach. He wasn't the greatest, but I think Ottawa needed somebody that just looked a little better. They didn't need a rehash of someone old. They didn't try and do something nostalgic with football in Ottawa. I think it was the best candidate for the job. And I mean, now we just have to see if he can make something happen on the field. And a young quarterback like Drew Brown, I think, is just what Dinwiddie is just what he ordered for someone like Drew Brown.
Exactly. And the one thing that this really creates is this creates coaching carousel, because who's going to fill that void in Toronto? Obviously, if you talk to Argo fans, they do like to hire within. There's Mike Miller. There's there's their offensive line coach. I think Pete Costanza. There's a lot of options within, but rumors.
Costanza.
Rumors.
That's what I hear about. I don't know if you're a Seinfeld fan.
Yeah,
Costanza and his old gym teacher that kept calling him Costanza.
Yeah. Also, there's rumors Mike O'Shea going back to the Toronto Argonauts to take over as head coach. He's been tied there for every time that because the one thing that the Winnipeg has always done is they leave these contract extensions both for him and Kyle Walters until like December. So I mean, this I think he's got a year left on the contract. I could be wrong about that, but there, if you offer him head coach and GM, does he take it? Who knows, right? I mean, there is that option available, and if he does, who fills Winnipeg's head coach vacancy? Because I don't think...
I'm not going to lie, too. I don't hate the idea of Mike O'Shea in Toronto.
Mm-hmm.
And for all the good years that he had in Hamilton as a player, I think, honestly, if you ask me football years, I might think of Mike O'Shea more as a Toronto Argonaut. And again, I may have just opened up Pandora's box on that one in a chat room if I tried to say O'Shea was an Argo over a Ticat, and I think it's a move I think it's an uncomfortable conversation you need to have in Winnipeg, because nobody's going to say O'Shea's burnt out in Winnipeg. But there's a little bit of you that's got to think O'Shea's burnt out in Winnipeg.
Possibly.
I don't think O'Shea is a bad coach.
No.
And I don't think
he's had some head scratchers.
But at some point, you'd have to assume they were going to move on. Like, I think that's just, they've gotten everything out of that they could. And I think they could both benefit from a change of scenery. And that even feels insane hearing it come out of my mouth that, maybe the best for Winnipeg and O'Shea is to part ways. But I mean, it feels like they've been together forever, like since we've been doing this podcast.
Mike O'Shea was hired late December of 2013, I believe. Since then,
that's insane.
Since then, here's the strange number. There has been 33 head coaching changes across the CFL during that time. That's insane.
And that's what, 12 years? That's like Wally. Like, is that better than Wally Bono in Calgary?
I mean, Wally Bono was there from like 1990 or 91 to 2002, where he was ushered out by.
Look it up.
Yeah, I mean, it's the longevity is just insane. And I just for craps and laughters, I decided to look up all the other teams. It's 33 head coaching changes. 33.
Yeah.
You know which team actually has the most during that span that I found out? What? Montreal. It is just
See, I would have picked Hamilton for sure.
Well, yeah, but they had Ken Austin for a few years during that time.
That's true.
Then they went to June Jones. Then Orlando Steinhauer was there for a couple of years. Then Scott Milanovich. I would have thought it was Edmonton.
That one too.
Yeah.
Yeah, Buono 90 to 02. So
Yeah.
that's 12 years for Buono there
Yeah. It's
in Calgary. So
it's I mean, and here's the thing. I say this selfishly as a Bomber fan. I'm looking for. I kind of hope he does. And I'm not saying, oh, you have to win the Grey Cup in order to stay. No, no. Do you know how boring it is in the off season? You go from, okay, who are we going to resign? Okay, we might not be going into free agency. Okay, who's going to be the internal hire to take over for Buck Pierce or what have you. Now this is like everything is going down. Who's going to be the head coach? Who's going to be the defensive coordinator, special teams coordinator? Who's going to be re-signed? Because there's going to be some people that are not going to be brought back. Who's going to be brought in as a free agent? How are we going to, there is so much that we could talk about now. And I say that, I love Mike O'Shea, but there's a part of me that says, I want some off-season chatter going on in Winnipeg. Let's make that happen. And obviously, to piss off some Rider fans, I made the suggestion of Mark Mueller, offensive coordinator, looking pretty good in the last couple of weeks. I had him as a head coaching candidate in Ottawa, but obviously that's not going to happen. Who knows? Might actually happen when Mark Mueller might actually go straight and then just jump the line and go straight to Toronto. Who knows? That could be. That could be. Hey, it
could be a fun winter for coaches in the Canadian Football League.
Yeah.
Except in Calgary, it's impossible to fire Dave Dickinson. He apparently has a job as long as he wants one, whether he's earned it or not.
Hey, okay, so let's talk about that. Rather than to really dissect the games, let's talk about how to fix Calgary and Winnipeg. You brought up Dave Dickinson. We talked about this. I don't want to go too deep into that because we kind of talked about it last week. Calgary has not won a playoff game since their Grey Cup win in 2018, which by itself is enough for a lot of fan bases to say, yeah, maybe let's cut ties with Dickinson. They had that bad year in 2024, and they just had this resurgence this year. I'm of the opinion that, okay, maybe they're back. Maybe Calgary's back. Maybe cutting ties with Dickinson isn't the worst thing or the best thing to do at this time. What can you do? What can Dickinson do to take that extra step back to Grey Cup glory?
I have no idea. I actually thought I thought Calgary was going to pull it off, and I genuinely thought that when we made the pick that weekend too, and they almost proved me right. And it's almost as soon as the game started, I texted you. I said, whoever's got the ball last wins this football game. And I'd say that's pretty close to what happened. And it was an exciting football game. And honestly, if you played 35 more seconds, Calgary probably wins that football game. Now, I don't know how you give up a pass like that with 10 seconds left on the clock and knowing they need a field goal. I can't blame that one on Dave because he doesn't call defenses. So that was just absolute debauchery on the part of the defense all around. For all intents and purposes, I think the Calgary Stampeders probably should have won that football game. There's no way you give that pass up. But, I mean, it's tough. I don't think there's an argument to get rid of Dave Dickinson right now after I was on the soapbox for probably 2 years to can this guy. And whether, I don't know what it is, whether Vernon Adams Jr. saved this guy's job
probably
or whatever it was, but
we all say that if Wally Buono made a career of getting rid of a guy a year before their expiration date, right? He's been known for that for ever. Dave Dickinson tried to do that by trading Bo Levi Mitchell to Hamilton, giving the reins to Jake Mayer. In fact, he gave the reins to Jake Mayer that last year, Bo Levi Mitchell's last year.
By giving a contract before anything was dealt.
Yeah. Jake Mayer.
Essentially disrespecting Bo Levi Mitchell like that.
Jake Mayer is probably, had he stuck in Calgary one more year, Calgary's probably not having this year. As credit to Calgary's defense, they're not having this year. And Dave Dickinson is probably getting canned.
I think so too, yeah.
That trade for Vernon Adams Jr. saved his ass.
Mm-hmm.
I'm glad you mentioned your pick against the Calgary Stampeders. Picking them, it's only 2 games, but
nope.
Yeah.
Dalts gets Mr. Perfect.
Yeah, 2 for 2.
Nice.
I forgot to text you to be like, should we count this 2 for 2? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a playoff. That's the game. Like, it's hard to call a playoff, so I'd say it's deserving.
Yeah, definitely.
I would want it if I was 2 for 2.
Yeah. All right. So there's really not a lot. Like, I would say with Calgary, that's a retooling. You keep Vernon Adams. If anything, a bona fide backup. You're hosting the Grey Cup next year. Probably would be a better idea to have a bona fide backup as opposed to relying on PJ Walker or whoever the third stringer is. It's, to me, that's just it's insane that they didn't have anybody with like pro CFL experience behind Vernon Adams junior Anything to touch on with Calgary before we move on to Winnipeg briefly? Because I think we just talked about Winnipeg with Mike O'Shea.
Yeah, I think we covered. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't want to talk too much about Winnipeg because we don't know what's going to happen with Toronto. Like, I feel that we can make the comment, we can take a deep dive into Winnipeg once we figure out Mike O'Shea. If Mike O'Shea's back, it makes it a little bit more cleaner. We can talk about offensive coordinator, upgrading the offensive line, and having a very good backup in behind Zach Claros. Who knows what's going to happen? Taylor Elgersma coming from the NFL again. The draft, the second round draft pick from last year for Winnipeg, had a good preseason with Green Bay. Could be someone that's just waiting for that opportunity. A lot of people forget about him. Not a lot of people coming in for free agency that you can get. Chris Trevler obviously is not going to be in the future plans by virtue of his injury. So there's a lot, but I think it all stems, like, all this really is a moot point if we don't know what's going to be in the future of Mike O'Shea. So it's a cop-out, but you know what? I'd rather know a lot of stuff before I start commenting about it.
Yeah.
Let's get to the divisional finals, and as always, let's get her on the line.
Rouge Radio is partnered with the good people over at Sports Interaction. Go to SIA.com/Rouge, and your first deposit is matched up to 100%. And as always, Tony and Dalts say to play and gamble responsibly. Gentlemen?
Thank you, Bert. The Eastern final starts, obviously that should start, obviously, in the early afternoon in Hamilton. The Montreal Alouettes are favored by 2.5 points. In Hamilton, the over-under set at 52.5. Your thoughts on this one?
I am going all in on the Tiger Cats right now.
Really? Okay.
I'm going all in on them. I like them. I feel like if I say this, I'm going to jinx them because I feel like I have not been.
And shutouts.
Yeah. I feel like I am the human. I am the guy that always calls shutout on everything this year. Like the jinx, the ultimate. I was even at a Medicine Hat Tigers game on the weekend for my youngest's birthday. And my family tried to give me a hard time because one of the Tigers, Jonas Wu, had 2 goals. So I'm like, oh, hat trick alert. And I take my hat on, like, we got a hat watch out. We're on hat trick watch. And the Tigers ended up losing in overtime. And they're like, oh, you jinxed it. I'm like, how did I jinx it? By calling Wu's hat trick. I'm like, that's not how jinxes work. Like, I might have jinxed Wu's hat trick, but it doesn't jinx the whole game. But yeah. I mean, maybe this is a year everything I say about something jinxes it. I jinxed the Blue Jays. I jinxed the Stamps. I jinxed the Tigers, like everybody.
Yeah.
I even reverse jinxed the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I had them the worst team in the league, and they're the best team in the league in the regular season. So, I mean, maybe all Tiger Cats nation just had a collective heart attack because I said I was all in on the Tiger Cats. But I don't know. I like. I don't know. I think this could be them, and I don't know why. I'm picking them 31-24 over the Montreal Alouettes. They're at home, and it just feels like if Bo Levi Mitchell's got to win one more before he retires. I think it's just how the CFL works. Like, throw statistics, throw logic, throw age out the window. I always say father time is defeat. It's like, is it really? Because Anthony Calvillo is winning Grey Cups in his 40s, and Damon Allen's winning Grey Cups in his 40s, and Nick Arbuckle is winning a Grey Cup for some reason at all that we don't understand why Nick Arbuckle gets a Grey Cup, but he does. Marcus Crandall got a Grey Cup. How in the hell did that ever happen? But it's what the CFL is like. It is. Everyone talks about something being so CFL-y, and somehow at the end of Bo's career, where it seems to be a semi-resurgent, a Grey Cup is in the cards. So I am sending the Tiger Cats into the Grey Cup with a win on the weekend.
I told myself, and I did it the same thing for both semifinals, that the winner of these semifinals were going to go through their respective opponents. With Hamilton, I just thought I felt like to be, and this is a knock on the East, but I don't mean it to be disrespectful, which, as you tell, people are going to be felt disrespected. I thought Hamilton's record was very fraudulent. You had multiple games against Toronto, you had multiple games against Ottawa, and you had multiple games against Montreal without Davis Alexander. Hamilton is just not. I'm not convinced. However, seeing both defenses, both Bombers and Alouettes defense, give up a lot of yards, give up a lot of points last Saturday, that might be Bo Levi Mitchell's chance to shine. Like that, that could be the opportunity that they're needing. However, logic, common sense.
However,
yeah,
he was going against Hamilton, and however that
I was
then he went Pro Bowl, but then however that.
Yeah, it's just that's the little circle of however here. Having said that, the fact that Davis Alexander is just knew when to turn it on when he needed to, I think that in itself, that just knowing when to flip the switch is enough to beat the Hamilton Tiger Cats defense. I think the Tiger Cats defense, fantastic secondary. Front seven is going to have a lot of work cut out for them with their Montreal's offensive line, their running attack, and getting to Davis Alexander. I think that is going to be, if you could do that, then maybe you have a chance. I just don't think they can. And I think Montreal's defense is just going to give Bo Levi Mitchell a lot of headache. It'll be close. I don't think it's going to be one of those where it's going to be 25-6 at halftime and then go back and forth in the third quarter. I think this is going to be a back and forth, but at the end of the day, I think Montreal is just a superior football team, and we're going to show that a healthier Montreal team is just not is just too much for Hamilton. I've got Montreal winning at 30-24 over the Hamilton.
And it does kind of feel like we are on the precipice of Alexander being the top quarterback in the Canadian Football League. Maybe that's just me, but it feels like we are entering the era of Davis Alexander on top of the quarterback world.
It does seem that he is following the footsteps of Bo Levi Mitchell when he started his career. Where everybody's talking about his first starts, but it remains. I mean, it's a small sample size because he was injured for the most part of this year. So yes, it is a small sample size, but the future does look bright in Montreal. Western final, obviously starting a couple hours after this game ends. The BC Lions are in Saskatchewan. Saskatchewan is favored by 3.5. The over-under is at 53.5. I like this game to be the over. I thought, and here's where I'm going with this one. Again, I said that that whoever was going to come out of the semifinal was just going to go through Saskatchewan. I thought Saskatchewan's offense, for the most part, in October, was very meh, whole lot of meh. And I thought BC's offense, BC as a team, was second to none over the last couple of months. You can't argue that. But the last couple of games, they've been very inconsistent. And in the games that did not matter to Saskatchewan, they were pretty decent. I feel like this is a cop-out to say that, I thought that BC is going to go, run through Regina and go to the Grey Cup. That was my initial pick. But I can't ignore the last couple of weeks. Saskatchewan might win this one, or they might lose it on the last second field goal. There's a double, however, there. I mean, I'm not convinced Brett Lothar is back to normal. I'm still not convinced about that one, but I'm also convinced that as a team, Saskatchewan just might be a little bit better than BC. Take the over. I think defense will be optional in this one, but Saskatchewan does take it 35-32. Tony.
Yeah, I wanted to bring. I just Googled up. I want to see the last time the Tiger Cats and the Lions ever met.
86
in the Grey Cup, and it's like if I just Googled Tiger Cats Lions Grey Cup, and the first one that popped up was 1985.
85. That's what it was.
That's been a long time since. And the Tiger Cats were 8-8 when they went into the Grey Cup that year. But anyways, that's irrelevant. And
one division.
Pardon?
Change to one division.
Yeah, one division. Oh my God. Yeah, because that's really working is having the better team. Because Montreal or Winnipeg just proved that you need the better, higher seeded team in the playoffs than the lower seed in the East Division. Because speaking of being undefeated, the Western crossover continues to be winless as far as Grey Cup goes, and winless in being the easiest road to the Grey Cup. Because again, I'm sure I didn't read every piece of documentation in every chat room, but I'm sure there was once again the easiest road to this year's Grey Cup was going through the East and playing Montreal and then playing the Hamilton Tiger Cats. So
you get past Montreal. If they got past Montreal, I would have said that Winnipeg would have beaten Hamilton hands down. Yeah. Montreal was the
easiest
better
road to the Grey Cup was not through the East, like we always say they did. But I think I want Rourke in the Grey Cup. I absolutely do. I think it's what the Canadian Football League needs, and I think it'd be just an absolute fantastic story to talk about a Canadian quarterback going for the Grey Cup. But I don't know if this is going to be the year it happens. I'm going to stay with Saskatchewan. I want to give them the respect they deserve. They took care of business. They finished first in the West. They deserve to be the host. In my books, there's no smoke and mirrors there. They were head and shoulders the best in the West and the best in the Canadian Football League. And whether I believe it or not, whether I want to or not, to me, the right thing to do is put Saskatchewan in the Grey Cup, because I feel they've done enough to deserve the respect to be picked to represent the West. I can nitpick things, but the right thing to do is just stay with the hottest team in the West all season. I think that's the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So maybe a close game, but I'm taking them 27-25 over the BC Lions. We've got a Saskatchewan Hamilton Grey Cup, the Henry Burris Bowl.
So based off of our predictions coming out of the Eastern Final, if our Western Division Final is right, one of us will have the rights to play the Mr. Perfect theme next week. Well, that'll wrap it up for this week's episode. You can follow us on any social media platform at Rouge Radio, myself at Rouge Dalts, Tony at Tony Rouge. Of course, you can subscribe to all of us, all of our podcast auditory versions, iTunes, any podcast application you have. Obviously, I think Spotify. Subscribe to us on YouTube, and of course, what else is there? Oh yeah, of course, on Facebook at facebook.com/Rouge Radio. Tony, any final thoughts before we wrap it up?
No, just other than I can't believe it's done. Like I can't believe we're this close. We got 2 weeks of football left. On Monday morning, we're gonna know who's gonna play in the Grey Cup. Absolutely outstanding stuff.
I'm hoping that there is some big news is next week that we could talk about, like maybe some head coaching vacancy filled.
There you go.
But that'll be pretty epic to take the wind out of the sails of the Grey Cup game. Anyways, yeah. All right, so that'll wrap it up for Tony. I'm Dalts. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening. Find more great shows like this at CF Pod Network on Twitter.